a massive update in the Raptors' pursuit of Kevin Durant through a trade, as the Brooklyn Nets have revealed they will not be trading Kevin Durant to the Raptors unless they receive Scottie Barnes in return. So in today's video, we're going to break down what this report means and also discuss what you're not noticing about this report actually dropping. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I bring you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news, and I'm going to be doing it all throughout the offseason, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help us on the road to 11,000 subscribers, and be sure if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, you drop a like to support the channel. It goes a long way to helping grow the brand, and let's get to 300 likes on today's video, which is about Kevin Durant again, because there is a huge report that has surfaced concerning the Toronto Raptors. All throughout this time, we've been talking about Kevin Durant so much on this channel because there's been so much relevant news to discuss, and you guys have been so interested within the news. But now we actually have some concrete reports concerning the Toronto Raptors. All of the reports up until this point have just been kind of, speculation as to what the Raptors could offer for Kevin Durant, why the Brooklyn Nets should consider an offer from the Raptors. It's been Woj kind of talk about, the Raptors are a wild card in this discussion. It's been Bobby Marks talk about, hey, the Raptors are a team to keep an eye on here. But no more. We actually have reports about the Raptors in negotiations with the Brooklyn Nets involving Kevin Durant, which means the Raptors are active in the discussions. The Raptors are trying to make this trade happen. And I've maintained throughout this entire Kevin Durant saga that the Raptors are in the best position to make this trade done. They were in the best position when the Phoenix Suns had DeAndre Ayton, and they're in an even better position as a result of DeAndre Ayton signing that offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers and ending up back with the Phoenix Suns on that big contract where he cannot be traded until January 15th, and he can veto any trade for an entire calendar year. I know Kevin Durant has spoken about, his favorite destinations, Phoenix Suns being his favorite destination. He wants to go to the 1 seed Phoenix Suns or the 1 seed Miami Heat. But for both of these teams, they've never had the same offer as the Raptors. The Phoenix Suns were offering Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton, and okay, that was a decent offer, but all of a sudden, DeAndre Ayton is completely off the table. And for the Miami Heat, do Brooklyn want to get Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson? I don't think that is the case. So the Raptors offering OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. seems like the best offer that maybe the Brooklyn Nets can get. But now the Brooklyn Nets are suggesting to the Raptors that they will not be trading him there unless Scottie Barnes is involved. The Rookie of the Year needs to be on the table. And obviously the Brooklyn Nets are going to ask for that, but to demand kind of this ultimatum here in the sense that if you're not offering Scottie Barnes, you're not going to get Kevin Durant. But the Raptors throughout this entire process have been maintaining that Scottie Barnes is not going to be on the table. In fact, Scottie Barnes himself replied to some reports on Instagram saying he's been knowing this, that he's not on the table for these trades. And I guess Scottie Barnes doesn't exactly have the inside knowledge, or, if the Raptors wanted to trade Scottie Barnes, they could, and even if Scottie Barnes said this, they could still trade him. Masai Ujiri traded DeMar DeRozan for Kawhi Leonard pretty much a week after saying to DeRozan that he's not going to trade him. So these sort of things happen. I've been maintaining that Kevin Durant, even if he doesn't really necessarily want the Raptors as first destination, the Brooklyn Nets don't exactly owe him anything. The way he's kind of been a catalyst in the downfall of the Brooklyn Nets potentially, they don't owe him anything. They just need to look for the best offer. And the Raptors seemingly have that. And if they don't want to entertain any sort of discussion with the Raptors, well then sure. Have Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Have Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. That is just not a good enough return, in my opinion. And it's not as good as a return the Raptors are going to be offering, even without Scottie Barnes, even without Pascal Siakam involved in these discussions. A lot of Raptors fans are pretty mixed about trading for Kevin Durant. I thought like the grand majority would want to make this trade for Kevin Durant, but it seems like there are a lot of Raptors fans kind of turning on this. They don't want to trade for Kevin Durant. They don't think it's worth going all out to get Kevin Durant. Now, I will say pretty much 80% of Raptors fans would not trade Scottie Barnes in a deal involving Kevin Durant. And even the majority of Raptors fans wouldn't even offer Pascal Siakam in a trade involving Kevin Durant. But even without those two involved, there are still fans who don't think they want to make this trade. They still don't want to give away OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr. and the boatload of picks in order to make this deal happen. I am certainly on the boat of wanting to trade for Kevin Durant. And I think that if you can avoid trading Scottie Barnes and you can avoid trading Pascal Siakam, then you absolutely go all out to make this trade, excluding those two figures. But maybe it doesn't look like this deal is going to get done unless that happens. But I think a little bit of a misconception about how these negotiations work with teams is that, if I'm kind of debating somebody, I'm talking to somebody about trades, like the Brooklyn Nets, let's say, they're not going to go into these negotiations saying, well, the Raptors probably aren't going to offer Scottie Barnes, so let's try to meet like more towards the middle. Like when you make your first offer, you are absolutely going to lowball the other team. Like the Raptors would probably do it, and the Brooklyn Nets are probably going to be asking like their first offer from the Raptors to be like, we want to get Scottie Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, 4 first-round picks and 3 pick swaps. They start at like the absolute highest return possible, just because they can, and they want to find a sort of middle ground in these negotiations, and the middle ground seemingly is more in your favor the more outrageous that your first offer is, and you can kind of work towards, after like days, weeks, possibly even months, you try to work towards some sort of middle ground for these negotiations. Ultimately, if you can't really find a middle ground that works, then the trade negotiations just completely fall apart. But it's understandable that the Brooklyn Nets are going to start these negotiations with Scottie Barnes. I mean, why wouldn't they? That's the rookie of the year. And at this point, the Raptors have the expectation. There's no longer that, we're hoping he gets this point. The expectation at this point from the Raptors and from Raptors fans is that Scottie Barnes over the next 10 years is going to be a perennial all-star and is going to develop into a player that we believe can be the number one option for our team as we look to contend for a championship. All of those great things about him make it worth hanging on to, even at the expense of Kevin Durant. Like there were so many people online talk about, the Miami Heat, the Phoenix Suns. Well, they can't trade their stars for Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant needs to show up to play with these guys. That needs to be maintained for the Raptors involving Scottie Barnes and Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is coming over. He needs to be playing with guys like that. Especially playing with guys like Pascal Siakam, who's already a certified second option on a championship team because, well, he's done it. And people keep talking about he's not a number one option. Well, make him that second option for Kevin Durant. But a lot of stuff that I've gone through in this video so far, we've already, gone over on other videos on this channel. But there is a big difference with this report that you may not be noticing. On the surface, it may look like it's a simple report. Brooklyn want to get Scottie Barnes, and, they've told the Raptors that unless Scottie Barnes is involved, Kevin Durant is not going to be traded there. Seems simple, but there was a lot bigger things behind it that you may not be quite understanding here. And the fact is, we have a report now, just from this, that the Raptors are legitimately in these negotiations to get Kevin Durant. The discussions have begun between the Brooklyn Nets front office and the Raptors front office. Up until this point, it's all just been speculation, like I mentioned earlier, from Woj, Bobby Marks, Weber, all these media outlets, everybody. It's all been speculation about the Raptors having interest, but now we have concrete evidence and proof that Masai Ujiri is in the process of trying to get this thing done, and that is exciting. That is exciting for Raptors fans. That is exciting for people who want to bring Kevin Durant to Toronto and help us maybe win a championship in the next 2 years, make us have this wide open window where we have one of the best, if not the best teams in the Eastern Conference by making this trade done. But the negotiations between the teams have begun, and obviously at the start, like I said earlier, teams are going to be lowballing, teams are going to be highballing on whatever side they're on, and they're not going to be given the best offers. And this is going to be a very long process, but the Raptors have engaged within the discussions, and they are trying to make it happen. That is the biggest takeaway that we can get from these reports coming out. Brooklyn at this point are definitely looking to just keep Kevin Durant in any way whatsoever. They're understanding that they are not getting the value that they were expecting, and they're understanding that they do not have the leverage that they thought they had. I said from day one, they're not going to have the leverage that they think they have, and they barely have any leverage here. A lot of people called me out. A lot of people disagree with me, but now we're looking at it. We are looking at the Brooklyn Nets having a lack of leverage. So they need to be on the phone with KD. They need to be on the phone with Kevin Durant's camp and just trying to speculate, ask questions. What is going to make Kevin Durant want to stay here? What is it going to take to get Kevin Durant to come back, run it back for another season? Because they're not getting the value that they have. And they're saying that if we don't get the value that we want, we're just going to keep Kevin Durant. And a lot of other people have been saying that, well, it's not within Kevin Durant's DNA to sit out. He won't sit out. If he's forced to stay, he's still going to go play basketball. I mean, do we really know that? Do we really know that? Because if Kevin Durant is upset enough to request a trade, he might be upset enough to just not play in the games unless they trade him. And if he does that, I mean, the non-existent leverage that the Brooklyn Nets already have, I mean, that's just going to get even worse. And that situation, like that fire that is just engulfed within the Brooklyn Nets as a result of Kyrie Irving, as a result of Kevin Durant, is only going to get worse and worse before they put out the fire and try to, not necessarily cut their losses, for lack of better words, maybe cut their losses and make the trade happen. And I'm not suggesting they just take any offer whatsoever, but the expectation from them that they're going to get Scottie Barnes here is extremely far-fetched. The expectation that they can get Pascal Siakam in this, I wouldn't say is extremely far-fetched, maybe a tad bit far-fetched. I just don't think either of these things are going to happen. And again, with these reports from the Raptors saying they're not going to put Scottie Barnes on the table, and the Nets saying, well, if you don't put Scottie Barnes on the table, we're not trading Kevin Durant. There's a little bit of a difference here. In fact, there's a big difference between both teams in this discussion. The Raptors don't have to make this trade. They are very comfortable with their core. There's a lot of belief from the Raptors front office, the players, and the fans that this is a core worth investing in for the future. For Kevin Durant trade, maybe you could sacrifice some things, but ultimately we're content, very happy with this core going forward. And for the Brooklyn Nets side of things, they are dealing with a player who has requested a trade. The Raptors are dealing with a player they do not have to trade. The Brooklyn Nets are dealing with a player who requested to be traded. The leverage is completely different. So as far as Scottie Barnes entering in these discussions, it's just simply not going to happen. I mean, I can't guarantee it, but I'm going to guarantee it. Scottie Barnes is not going to be traded for Kevin Durant. And the Brooklyn Nets now have a decision. If they don't want to play ball with the Raptors, have fun entertaining Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson offers, or Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson offers. If the Brooklyn Nets want to play ball and start these discussions, I think there is a trade that can be manufactured between the Raptors and the Brooklyn Nets. If not, enjoy that disastrous situation getting worse. The Raptors, we are going to be okay. So what do you guys make of this report? What do you guys make of the undertones of the report that I've suggested? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video at all along the way, be sure to drop a like. It goes a long way to supporting the channel. When you drop a like, it lets YouTube know that there's other people on the platform with similar interests to you that may also enjoy this video. Therefore, it is recommended to more people. It only takes you a second to like the video, but it does help me out a lot, and it does help grow the brand a lot as well. And also make sure, if you're new to the channel or you're just not done it yet, make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. We're on a road to 11,000 subscribers, and I give you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news all throughout the offseason. In return for that, check the link in the description below to join our Discord, and I'll see you again next time for another video.